Hi guys, welcome back to Behind the Sawdust, our weekly-ish vlog that tells you what goes on when the cameras are off at our two Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal shops. In this episode, we're going to talk about some great homemade tools that we're working on, some big changes coming to Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, two new books that I'm writing, a few public events I'm going to be at, and a new section to our homepage that'll save you some cash. This past week, we've been working on tying up some loose ends, particularly for the past and future issues of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. One thing that has been really weighing on me are the plans for the new box joint jig. A lot of people have been emailing me about it, so I really wanted to get those things finished. This plan took more work than some of the others, even though the jig is pretty easy to build, but it's just not always so easy to translate that into written steps. So I used a lot of photos in this plan. And in the end, I think it really is one of our best. I also finished a guide to making the router plane that we built in a video in the July issue. This one also has step-by-step instructions and lots of photos. You could probably make the plane just by watching the video that we made, which again, you'll find for free in the July 2016 issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal on our website in the archives. But I don't know, it's just nice to have the plans all printed out to take into the shop so you can work from them. I'll put links to both of them in the notes, which you'll find below this video. I also thought you may be interested to know some of the other cool projects we're developing. I don't know when these will all be finished, but likely sometime between now and the end of the year. First, we have a jig for spindle turning on the table saw. There are a couple of table saw lathe jigs out there, but this one is made to cut complex coves and beads like you would do on spindles. I'm not sure how it's going to work out yet. I haven't built it and tested it, but we'll see what happens. This one is actually part of an idea I've been playing with for making a Windsor chair almost entirely on a table saw. I also have a jig for shaping a seat that I'm working on. Another cool project in development is this cart for the sliding underneath your drill press. It's got everything. I made these slide outs that will hold your different bits and your accessories, even cordless drills and chargers. This will be a great addition to our homemade workshop, which is where all of the homemade tools and machines go after they're finished so they can be used in actual woodworking projects. We show video of that from time to time on this vlog. And in fact, some of the projects you see Mustache Mike building are over in that workshop too. Oh, and speaking of drill presses, I've been working on a new drill press table. You may remember that a long time ago, I made an XY drill press table that could be adjusted for all sorts of different tasks. What I didn't like about it is that it was really bulky and you had to have a pretty good sized drill press to handle it. So I've been working on a new version that's much more compact. This one also features the pull-out bit storage that I made for our compact drill press table some time ago. I've always liked those simple little drawers. They're really convenient. And of course, we'll have replaceable inserts and all that good stuff on the new XY table. Another XY mechanism I've been working on lately is an upgrade for our horizontal routing machine, the one with the tilting table. This new table will increase its uses even more, including adding slot mortising. It'll have a plunge feature that can be controlled with stops and all sorts of other stuff. I designed it to be an add-on. So those of you who have already built the machine can retrofit this to it without any trouble. And we'll figure out a way to get you these plans. I've also been playing around with the idea for a portable workstation for Tormek users. Some sort of storage cabinet that can be carried from one place to another with room for your jigs and some of your accessories. The idea is that some people who have unheated shops may want to carry their machine and jigs all together inside the house to use it during the wintertime. Otherwise, they risk freezing and breaking the stone. I don't have any drawings for that yet, but we'll see what we can come up with. Oh, and while I have table saw turning on mind, we're going to be making a jig that will allow you to turn a bowl on a table saw, which is really cool. You're going to want to see this. And I've been in contact with another woodworker about making a jig for cutting really precise wooden gears on the table saw. I'm really excited about that because wooden gears can be used to make all sorts of cool projects, from clocks to, well, you'll see. Yet another jig that should be finished soon is an attachment for our table saw sled system. As you may know, we designed both the mega sled and the mini sled to fit various jig attachments. Right now, they come with jigs for cutting finger joints, There's a tenon jig and a spline jig. Soon, we'll also be adding a jig to cut dovetails on the table saw sled. It will be included with the full sled and jig package, and we'll also make it available for free to anybody who bought that package before this new jig was included, so don't worry about that. We're also developing about a dozen other homemade jigs and machines, including sanding machines and sharpening machines. There's a homemade lathe, all sorts of things. You'll find all of these as they become available in our homemade tool section on our website, which you should really check out every once in a while just to see if there's anything new. One thing that I get asked about quite a lot is when we're going to have plans available for the homemade wood rat we built a couple of years ago. The answer is, I have no idea. The dovetail-shaped bar that was at the heart of the tracking mechanism went out of production shortly after I built the thing, and there's no point in making plans for something you can't build. One of these days, I'm going to redesign it. It won't be that big a deal, it's just that I've got so many other things going on I haven't gotten to it yet. I also get asked about when we're going to have the video for the 24-inch bandsaw available. My answer is the same now as it's been for a while now, unfortunately. Soon. We've been experimenting with some different ways to make the wheels so it's a little easier for you guys, some different kinds of bearings that can be sourced online easily, and I want to include all that in the video. The problem is so much stuff is going on that it just gets to keep pushed forward, and I'm really sorry for that. As soon as we get past the summer woodworking shows, I'll get to it, and the videos for the table saw workstation and the sliding crosscut table and the fence and a billion other things. We're really going to be putting more emphasis on these shop-related projects in Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal and less on other stuff. There's enough YouTube channels out there now building crafty style projects. We need to get back to what most of you subscribe to this channel for in the first place: cool jigs and useful shop machines. Ever since Shop Notes, which was my favorite magazine, ever since they stopped publication, there's been more of a void in that area. So we're going to try to fill it with Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal the best we can. Starting in the fall, you'll see more jigs and cool tools, both homemade and store-bought. We'll have more tutorials for improving your woodworking skills. Right now we're working on several for the table saw and several for the router table. Mustache Mike is working on a whole comprehensive scroll saw course that will teach you all the ins and outs of this fascinating part of the craft, while building some great projects that go beyond the typical fretwork and simple cutouts that many people think of when they imagine scroll saw woodworking. So you're going to want to see that, and I hope you like the stash because you're going to see more of him. We're also planning a whole series on wood turning, as we mentioned before. We're getting started on that coming up this week, in fact. Another big announcement is I'm about to begin writing 2 new books. These are going to be completely different from my first book. They aren't going to be about homemade woodworking machines. They're not going to have any of those plans from our website, that kind of thing in them. Instead, they're going to be guides to getting the most out of your table saw and your router. The titles aren't finalized yet, but they'll likely be called something like the Stumpy Nubs Guide to Advanced Table Saw Techniques and the Stumpy Nubs Guide to Advanced Router Techniques. The idea is to show you amazing things that you can do with your tools beyond the basics that you find in other books. These are going to be unlike anything out there, and if they're as successful as I expect them to be, we may even work with the publisher to write more for other shop machines, like a Stumpy Nubs Guide to the Bandsaw, a Stumpy Nubs Guide to the Scroll Saw, or the Lathe. It's going to be a whole series. Of course, I'm very proud to be working with Popular Woodworking's publishing company, FW Media, again. They published my last book, and they just did a great job. It's still a bestseller. The table saw book is tentatively scheduled for release in the fall of 2017, and the other one the spring of 2018. I'll keep you posted as those things develop. And finally, I have several woodworking events scheduled in the next couple of months. It's going to be very busy, but maybe we'll get a chance to meet. First, I'll be at IWF in Atlanta on August 24th through 26th. That is a Wednesday through Friday. I'm not going to be there on the weekend. I'll be working with the Affinity Tools booth where I'll be just making stuff. Probably cut some dovetails, do some carving, have a few cold ones when nobody's looking. It's a massive woodworking show and always a great time. So stop in and say hello if you're going to be anywhere near Atlanta. This is my second trip to Atlanta this year. The first time was for the woodworking show tour with the Video Woodworkers booth back in April. And since then, there's been like a gazillion woodworking related shows in Atlanta. I don't know what it is about Atlanta, but it's become this mecca for woodworking stuff. Anywho, a couple of weeks after the IWF show, I'll be at the Rockler store opening in Novi, Michigan near Detroit. That's on September 10th. And I'll be there for a meet and greet and a book signing, sort of hanging out. So come on over if you can. If not, the following week, which is September 16th through 18th, I'll be at Woodworking in America in Cincinnati to teach classes on the table saw and the router. This is a big event, and I'm excited to meet with any of you guys that can make it. It's really a good time. The week after that, I'll be at another Rockler store opening, this time in Bolingbrook, which is outside Chicago. Bolingbrook, outside Chicago. There'll be more information about this below in the show notes, but there I'll be doing another book signing and meet and greet. So we have a very busy end to summer coming up. I'll put links in the show notes, like I said, for all this info, and be sure to check our Facebook and Twitter and Instagram pages for more updates as we get closer. One more thing. We've added a section to the bottom of our website homepage with coupons. Every week we'll be posting a couple of really good deals on woodworking tools that you may want to check out. This isn't like 10% off piddly stuff. Right now there's a couple of Rockler coupons for 20 and 25% off specific products. So check that space every week. If you don't see something that you want that week, there'll be something different the next week. So check it out regularly. Well, that about wraps things up for this edition of Behind the Sawdust. Please do not forget to support our sponsors by visiting their sites via the links in the notes below the video. These guys spend their hard-earned dollars so you can get free woodworking infotainment. So if you can just return the favor by visiting their sites, just spend a minute over there, it would mean a lot to me. Then you can sit back and have yourself a cold one, because you've earned it, my friend.